wanted to create, first of all, good morning. Good morning. I wanted to create a new series where I'm making a collective video series called Coffee Talks every month, and what's going to happen with this series is that it's literally going to be a coffee talk. Make yourself a coffee, and we're going to talk about, and I'm just going to discuss my own experience on any topic that's kind of coming up for me this week or in the future. Put down in the comments like a topic you would like me to bring up during these coffee talks, or a topic for February that you would like me to discuss in regards to being a self-taught artist, or just art in general, your art process in regards to your creativity. It would be a fun way to just kind of have like a little chit chat video to my channel. Now, something that has come up for me as a self-taught artist this month, in January specifically, because January is about, since it's a new year, obviously it's about making goals and goal setting. So this specific video is going to be about scheduling and in regards to your goals for 2024. Now, ultimately, when we make a goal, the first like 3 months we're all set and go, but then we start fading out throughout. So one of the things that I've been trying to implement is scheduling art into my schedule. And as someone that works a 9 to 5, this can be really difficult. And also as someone that works within like childcare, preschool environment, this can also be even more difficult, especially if you work in a position where your day job actually takes up a lot of your energy, or it can, depending on the specific needs. But some days I'm really super tired. So basically I've had to come up with something that actually works with my schedule. So like something that I've been looking into in regards to making a habit of your art is to actually fit your habit into your schedule that you already have. So one thing that I implemented was to create like a little daily calendar, or you can do this online, or you can do this a physical thing. But what I did is I just made a daily schedule of what my day actually looks like into the day-to-day. Like I didn't change anything, I just recorded what my day-to-day looks like. And I noticed that knowing yourself is also important, because you need to know like don't try to stretch yourself to fit the habit you're trying to implement. Make your habit fit into what your patterns already are. So I know I'm not a morning person usually. I mean, sometimes I will get like boats of like inspiration, and I'll get up to create and make art. I mean, that is one of the things that I miss about like being in high school and college, is the hits of inspiration that you would get at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and having the ability to actually get up and take that 1 to 2 hours to make that art, and then go back to bed. And then if you're too tired the next day, you have the schedule, you have the freedom to take a nap. Working a 9 to 5, like I don't have the ability to do that. Also, you have to look into like your mental health. But essentially this week, that what I've noticed in regards to like actually making a schedule is that I was like, okay, the free time that I do have free time in the morning, but even then I'm not a morning person. And I have anxiety in regards to if I try to plan something out in the morning, then I have anxiety of like, oh, I'm constantly looking at the clock to complete something, and I don't want to do that. Like for instance, I've been trying to implement morning pages, and I started this mid last year, and I've seen really good results in regards to just like getting creativity and having clarity and ideas and where I want my vision to be in my life. But I'm like, okay, like some days I skip days because I'm not a morning person. So you have to look into like, oh, I really have to look into where my natural personality is, where my natural schedule, your natural body schedule is, and not trying to push or pull yourself to fit a habit, because that's why we break habits. So something that I've noticed is I realized like, okay, I have time for 7 to 9 p.m., which is great. Because I don't know, it felt like a lot, but one thing that I've been noticing, which is interesting, is that, because I'm like, okay, 1 hour, because then like as a human being our ego goes in, because then we're like, well, I want that time to do like frivolous things. Like for me personally, I like watching YouTube videos and like going on this it's this like coloring number app that I have on my phone, and I like to, like, as a distraction, I enjoy listening to people and then sometimes looking at the video, but then I have something to kind of preoccupy my, and so that's kind of how I multitask. And then it's like, so I guess what I'm getting at is like I'm realizing because like once I actually create art, if I'm actually interested in the art, I notice that like I'm like, whoa, it's been, because I realized like, oh, if I watch a video on a tutorial and then I actually do the tutorial, so like you watch a video on how to do a watercolor portrait, which is like what most videos are, like maybe 20 minutes long at most, but usually it's like 10 to 15 minutes, and then you do like, then you practice that in your own sketchbook. And what I've noticed is that actually the time flies. And so like 7 to 9, when I first began, when I was like, okay, this is the time frame that I have, and that seems doable. That seems like I can probably spend like 1 hour maybe, but I realized like one thing led to another, and I am actually spending like 7 to 9 p.m. like actually just making art. Because what happens is and then I've started to look into, like, there's this woman that, another artist, and she was talking about like a work state flow into your art. And so how to implement this is, you like, how she did it is she started a 30, and I'm trying to implement this, but I'm noticing that I'm not able to, like, it takes up most of my time, and then by the time it's done I have to actually like rush to get to bed and get to bed on time. So it's basically like I'm realizing like I need to prioritize my art to be my full capacity. And I'm realizing like, oh, I get home from work, and then like I might have like 30 minutes to do what I want, but then like feed my dog, feed myself obviously, but then get like comfortable and situated, but then like I have to get right into making art. Because then I'm like, okay, is it a priority for me to, is it more of a priority for me to like relax, or is it a priority for me to like really focus on art, like really prioritize because then I'm like, well, that's kind of annoying, because then like I feel like I'm a machine where I go to work, I come home, I have to like make this focus, make this dedication to my art progression, to my art skills. And I guess I'm realizing like that's a sacrifice you have to make. Like, are you willing to put in the work for your dream? So I guess like I'm realizing that's what people are talking about in regards like, oh, you have to make the sacrifice. Any free time that you have, you need to put into what your actual interests are. And this can be anything. This doesn't have to be art. It could be essentially like, oh, you want to have like, you want to really develop, like your dream is to have financial freedom. And how do you want financial freedom? Oh, like you want to be a YouTuber, which is like what the whole thing is with YouTube right now, is like people are seeing like YouTube and digital nomad is the way to financial freedom in the current modern century or whatever. But that's just something that I'm realizing in myself, like, oh, I really have to, if I really want this dream to happen, if I really want to be a better artist, I really need to actually put in the time into my schedule and not slack off. And it does feel like I'm like robotic and kind of like because it makes me feel like, oh, I don't have enough time to actually relax, because I have to like dedicate myself, the time that I do have, I have to dedicate myself to my future, to the financial freedom that I want to have, in order to be able to just make whatever art I want. In order to do that, I have to like perfect these skills. And what time do I have to perfect these skills is in the time frames that I have. And that is like another thing that I've noticed in January, is that I've noticed like because of for me, I'm just going to be transparent and honest, like I've been burnt out from my day job. And so like I've noticed a pattern where every other week or even every week I have at least called out once, just because like my energy level just wasn't there and I was exhausted, and I know my day job isn't the job that I want to be doing. It's not my passion. I'm not excited about it. It's not what I want to be known for. Like, I'm still excited about it, but it's like I'm realizing like I don't really want to be a teacher. That's not what I want my vision to be. And I know that like there are people in the world who like that's what they want to be, and that's great. If you want to be a preschool teacher for the rest of your life and that's what you want to be known for, that's great. But like that's not what I want to do. I love working with children, but it's not like it's not about the identity of being a preschool teacher. It's more about like I like the creativity and joy that children give, and the freedom to kind of just be whoever I want in that environment. Because when you're working with children, it's like you have more freedom to just be who you are, but it's still a job, and it does take it. I feel it does take as much energy as working with the public. But because I don't have the social skills, it's like one of the jobs I can count on as a means to make money. So another thing as an artist, it's like, what job can you do that which you will still have the energy to make art? And that is one of the jumps I've had to make from last year 2023 to this year. Is I realized like I really enjoyed being a lead or co-teacher, preschool teacher, because one thing I'm noticing in this industry is that there are people in this industry that, I mean, no shade, but that aren't really good teachers because they're just in it. Because in this industry it can be a lazy job. and you can tell when people are burnt out and they're just there because they're there. And I'm not the type of person where I can fake it to make it. So working with children just makes more sense because I can't fake it to make it. So like I've had customer service jobs and I just like, I can't fake it to make it. I can't, if I'm feeling bad, it's gonna show on my face. Even if I think I'm faking it to make it, people are like why are you so sad? And I'm just like, what? But another thing like that I've noticed jumping from 2023 to 2024 is that even though I get excited about like creating, for me it's about creating the projects, it's about creating, like I enjoy organizing and observing children's like discoveries and then implementing like cool little activities that they can do in kind of like documenting their discoveries, and that's kind of how I implement the art form into my job. So as an artist we have that because we have that creativity, so like we can find really good ways to put creativity into our jobs. And I feel like working with children. But one thing I noticed is like as a leader co-teacher, I had to constantly bring my work back home, and then that meant I was sacrificing my art, the time that I needed for my art. So 7 to 9 I'd have to like bring back my work home in order to implement a curriculum, or in order to create like a cool project for the kids to do for the week, like 2 to 3 projects during the week. So the children, because I mainly worked with 2 to 3 year olds, and it was just like it was taking up a lot of my energy. And so that's why I made the jump from co-teacher to support staff in 2024. So like that's one thing. And then another thing that I've actually recently communicated to my current employer is asking for actually 1 day off during the week, and I asked for Wednesday off the middle week to break up my week, because honestly, be honest with yourself, like what, like I guess as a millennial we constantly hear, and maybe even if you're in the Gen Z generation, you constantly hear from like the older generations like, oh, you don't, like you're not hardworking, this generation is constantly like quitting, not finishing things, or jumping job to job. Like people are just like quitting jobs and they're not really committed, like no one wants to work, like during the whole COVID thing. And yeah, it's like, why would we want to work for companies that don't appreciate the work we do? Like, bruh. But that's like another, like I had to, it's like I keep calling out every other week, or at least 1 day every week, because I don't have the energy. So then I'm like, well, if I'm able to call out and I'm still able to like pay my bills, or even like it's still a stretch, but I can still do it, but like at least 1 day or even half a day, that would actually be amazing to put that time into my art, as well as the 7 to 9 after work. And so it's just being, for me right now, it's just being honest, like with my natural scheduling of my body, of what I know about myself, of where I know like how much energy I actually do have, and then implementing it. You still have to like implement, but you always have to, like, something with habits I learned this week or this month is starting with something, habits small. So you want to have the same habit, like, oh, you want to make art, make it within like for me, example, 7 to 9 p.m. I want to make art. Either I want to learn something, or I want to draw on my sketchbook, or like something. And you have to find like the 2 minutes rule. So like the most minimal thing, like when you have no energy, what's something that you can do with art that would, you can still commit to that habit, but because it's about consistency and commitment, because once you break that habit mentally, you're like, well, I didn't do it yesterday, so it's fine if I don't do it another day. And then and then that's how we break the habit. So if we keep it a 2 minute, so it's like, oh, if I at least draw a line in my sketchbook, then I can cross it off. And mentally, when you think about it, you already have it on your desk. And even like showing up, that's another thing for me in January 2023 that's been big, is like just show up. Because just having the notebook out, just having the sketchbook out, just having the pen out and starting to draw a line, even drawing a line, like you're still showing up for your art. But you have to get away from the mindset that like, oh, it's not this huge portrait. If you have the energy that day after work to do a huge portrait or a huge landscape or like a portfolio style, then do it. But it's like, just show up. And what's showing up look like? Is it opening a book to learn about something and then it leads to something else? Is it watching like a 5-minute tutorial and then saying, oh, I'll draw it? Because then what happens is it leads you to wanting to know more. You watch a video about gesture drawing, but then